All right, but we've got to figure something out, all right? The people on Earth are going to die. Think.
Cooper,
The sidebar
didn't bring us here to change the past.
Say that again.
The sidebar
Didn't bring us here to change the past.
The sidebar
Didn't bring us here at all. We brought ourselves.
Oh, sidebar night.
I don't even really know
Episode-
where to begin.
I mean, we're on episode 83.
Yeah,
like we've
we've
said, we've been grinding in private. 0 Dark 30 on LeBron. We deleted all of our social media for the sidebar. We weren't looking. The haters, they're talking a whole lot.
People
But
are
guess what we
wondering.
did? We went back to the drawing board, and we're back. We're
The
all the
sleeping
way
giant
back.
has been awoken. I mean,
Yeah.
while people are out there wondering what's been going on with the sidebar verse, like it's just been boiling underneath.
There's
We have
70 plus
we-
episodes. 70 plus episodes that are not coming out because
We
we
have,
don't.
we have 4 years of content. That
They're
we
not
never
our
put
best
out.
work. They're not our best work, and we will
They're not
only
good.
deliver to our listeners the best work we can do.
Some of the movies that we did, Hubie Halloween,
Murder Mystery 1 and 2. Double feature. Wasn't great.
Chris Pine's The Pool Boy. Some other terrible movies that have come out. Obviously, this is a joke. We haven't recorded a sidebar. Legitimately, it's been 4 years, right?
Yeah, 5.
Be serious.
I think 2020 was the last episode
2020
that was out.
Well,
We do have we actually do have an unreleased episode that is never
we do
coming
have
out.
an unreleased episode.
Do you still have it?
No, I have no idea where that. I actually think I recorded that on a previous employer's computer. So
No,
there's nothing incriminating about that.
Oh no, you might have done it. Yeah, we were at
100% did. We had just graduated.
Yeah.
And it was during COVID. It was like in the midst of COVID,
Mhm.
and and everybody was watching Contagion, and we did an episode.
We did our episode on Contagion, but it turned into an Outbreak review because that movie was so much fucking better. So much better. We don't need to get into that now.
What was Outbreak?
Outbreak was the one where the guy brings a monkey back on a plane that he shouldn't, and then is like his pet, and then it gets out and bites people, and then the whole town's infected, and then Donald Sutherland quarantines the town. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
We started talking about Contagion, and then we just were like, we realized halfway through that we thought that Outbreak was a better pandemic movie. We started talking about Outbreak.
Yeah.
I mean, Contagion wasn't bad, but I mean, it doesn't hold a candle in terms of that's a Matt Damon movie, right? Matt Damon was in that.
Yep.
Would you consider
Damon's the lead.
Here's a question for you: would you consider Interstellar a Matt Damon movie?
Absolutely not. What do you want to? Do we just hop into best performance? Because I tiered it, and it's pretty.
You did, okay.
Yeah, we don't.
I got some good stuff to talk to you about in best performance. I mean,
right, before we get into talking about the movie, let's get a little pre-movie stuff, right?
Let's get a little pre-movie stuff. First of all, how you been, man?
Good man. I've been
good.
Yeah.
Me and Cam don't talk outside the sidebar.
We don't need to. It's all business.
It's all business. Yeah. And then
Dan, you think Dan and I are friends? This is a business relationship. I fucking hate this guy.
It's purely meant for Spotify.
Yeah.
We don't care about each other outside of this. That's facts.
No, absolutely not. Yeah.
No, that's jokes. I love you. I miss you.
You too, buddy.
Yeah. It's nice to see you. I live in Salt Lake City, Utah, and you live in
Massachusetts.
Yeah, Massachusetts. I should probably give my address now.
Yeah. They're a little far.
Yeah. And it's been quite some time since we recorded a sidebar episode. We are so all the way back. It's unbelievable. We didn't really know where to begin here because it's been so long. Obviously, me and Cam were super excited to do this again. Obviously, and
we're taking it a little different this time.
Yeah, we're taking.
I think a little added. Hopefully a little more. But I'd say not buttoned up. but
No, we're
a little
not.
more, some of the movies I think we're gonna do are be a little more buttoned up than the ones that we have in the past.
You know what's crazy to think about? First of
You
all,
know,
obviously, we're talking about
we.
Interstellar today,
Mhm.
but didn't you miss me just going off on tangents? By the way, no, this is like a time
In the
capsule.
description, skip to the timestamp of 35 minutes when we actually start the
Yeah, yeah.
Interstellar talk. If you're
Let
listening,
me get into something that I think is relevant. No, I think it's kind of funny because the sidebar obviously hasn't been a thing for the past 5 years.
Mhm.
Interstellar is a movie about time, space time, and quantum physics, and you could say that the sidebar has transcended reality in a way that the previous sidebars are essentially a look into the past,
Yeah.
whereas this new sidebar regime is cue Matthew McConaughey, knocking on the bookshelf on the opposite end.
Well, like we were talking about in the pre-show, like actually started watching Interstellar 4 years ago, but I just finished
Right,
it today.
right,
Realistically,
just finished it today, and I was
for
metaphorically putting my
yeah,
hand through Cam's bedroom metaphorical spaceship, um, reaching out and touching him. Although it was much
they
more of a
call it a
caress.
tesseract in the film.
Is that what the Tesseract is? The black hole.
That's no, I think it's like the big the I can't describe it to you
The
without
Tesseract
doing the
is
box
is
thing. You
the
know what I mean?
you know what I'm
Yeah,
talking about?
it's
Yeah,
yeah. It's the cross
the
section.
space time thing.
It's the big space box.
You never watched this with me in an astronomy class in
No,
college? Really?
no.
I must have dreamed that. I had we had that professor in college who supposedly worked at NASA, and he was the man. I loved him. And I remember we were talking about space movies or something, and he was in the midst of trashing Armageddon, and he's just like, "It's the worst space movie ever." He's like, "It doesn't make any sense." He's like, "There's no way they could maneuver, like their bodies would be mushed." And I'm like, "Okay, well, that begs the question, like, what do you think is the most accurate represent? Like, you're a NASA guy. I don't know. You seem to be an expert. What's the most accurate representation of the space movie?" And he said, "Of course, Interstellar." For a lot of different reasons that I don't remember, because it was. I mean, that was how long ago were we freshmen? We're
That was
so old, dude.
2015.
That sucks. I mean, that was almost 10 years ago.
Yeah, it actually was 10
Um,
years ago. It's
that
2015.
sucks, dude.
You didn't
That
have to
sucks.
see like that's why
That,
you need to cut out here. You didn't need to
I'm not
put that in.
cut that out in post.
Yeah.
Um, what do you what did you think? It was your first time watching it. I'm very curious to hear. I can't believe you've never seen it. Also, okay, I'm sorry. I meant to ask a question. I meant to not monopolize this, but I think it's probably smart to set up the fact that we want to do some more Nolan movies because we really, aside from The Dark Knight, back in the old sidebar days, we never did
Yeah,
Nolan.
and I'd say The Dark Knight is like it's a Nolan movie, but it's like the least Nolan movie of all the ones that we're gonna
I
do.
I'd go. Yeah, I would agree with that.
All I was thinking, I was like, man, this movie was confusing, but it's like then I realized we're probably gonna do like The Prestige, and then you're gonna do Tenet, and then like
Yeah, I
there's so
don't.
much.
I
I
haven't
wish I
seen
could see
Tenet
this
yet.
movie. Now this movie's coming back out in theaters, right? IMAX,
So that yeah, it's
Interstellar.
a good point. No, so essentially what they did was I think it's over now, but they released this movie
Okay.
back out to every 70 millimeter IMAX theater across the
Because
country.
I really
And
wish I went and saw it there instead of like seeing. I mean, I saw it on like a pretty decent TV. It's not like I saw it on a bad one, and the
flex.
visuals were like crazy,
Probably,
crazy
in my
good.
opinion, one of the most beautiful movies ever made. I
Yeah,
think you never saw Oppenheimer, did you?
no, and that's another one we can
So
kind of kick down the canyon a little bit here, but
I want to say something because I think so Oppenheimer, when it was released, as obviously his most recent movie, he's coming out now with the Odyssey, which I can't wait for the Odyssey. It's gonna be really fun.
yeah, Cast is cool.
Matt Damon, baby. That's a true Matt Damon movie, hopefully.
Mhm.
But when Oppenheimer was released, it was marketed as this um, visual kind of spectacle movie, and it was releasing out in 70 millimeter IMAX, throughout the whole country. And because of that, I think it drove a lot of people to the theater to see Oppenheimer. Now, listen, I'm not, I took one film class in college, and all I do is like movies. I don't know much about it, but it's my understanding that watching a movie in 70 millimeter IMAX is supposed to be some sort of visual
I think
spectacle,
if it's like filmed with IMAX cameras, that's like the whole deal.
something like that,
That's
right?
like you're
some
supposed to see
some
in IMAX.
some nerdy
I don't
shit,
think
dude.
we have a theater like that like in the New
No,
England area. They're like not
they're
like very
probably
like they have the regular IMAXs, but I don't think they're like the special like the.
right.
I think there's like a
I
certain kind of IMAX theater. You know what I mean? Like the 40 millimeter. I think those are like
There is.
Yeah,
There
special.
is. There was only one. The closest one was in like Arizona for me.
Mhm.
So we don't have any. So we have IMAX theaters out here, but we don't have like I guess, a 70 millimeter. Whatever the case was, Oppenheimer was marketed as this like visual spectacle of a movie, releasing in 70 millimeter. Unbelievable. Oh, you got to see it. It's like this beautiful movie. In my opinion, wasn't a theatrical cinematic experience as it was marketed as. It's a
Mhm.
great biopic. It's a good movie. It's great performances, but it's not a visual spectacle. I feel like the way it was marketed. This movie
Yeah,
absolutely is in
absolute spectacle.
every aspect of the
Just
word. Like
just so many scenes, like from the jump, the cornfield scene when
cornfield.
you drive
Yeah, I
driving
mean,
through. And real quick on the cornfield again, talking about this in the pre-show. Like, did you
yeah.
know that Christopher Nolan, he wanted to for practical effects, right? He instead of a CGI cornfield, they planted all of the corn in
Oh
Canada,
God.
used it through the movie, and then sold the corn from the field for a
Oh,
hundred
okay.
$64,000 profit after the
That's all
movie.
it. That's all it. That's all.
I mean, profit.
I don't know how much it costs to grow corn. I feel
The
like the
fact that
money's
he
worth
made
it.
anything back is crazy.
No, it's pretty cool. Does that count towards the budget, the grossing
I don't know.
of the
It does
movie?
if this
The corn profits.
if the studio paid for it. Yeah,
Just the studio did.
yeah.
Have you seen Wicked?
I don't think he paid for it out of pocket.
Yeah, and I'm assuming, yeah, who has that kind of money to grow? I mean, I wonder how. Did you know how big the cornfield was?
No, I don't. Let me see if I
You
can
just
find
saw
it.
that it made a bunch of money.
Yeah.
It's a little. That's a little shout out to Wicked. If you haven't
One
seen that
point
movie yet,
one
which I'm
point
assuming you
three
haven't.
1.3 acres of corn. No, sorry, 500 acres of corn.
I was gonna say 1.3 acres, like my
No, no,
freaking
no, no, no,
backyard.
no. 500 acres of corn.
500 acres, square acres.
Yeah, of corn
Unbelievable.
in
That's really
Canada.
cool. Where in Canada?
Calgary.
Fucking Calgary, dude. So sick.
Mhm.
Alberta. It's a cool province. Actually, no, I don't like Canada. Are we supposed to like Canada right
Are
now?
you just gonna start naming places from Canada? This is where
I
this is
used
where we
to.
had to. Dan's
I've
Dan's
been to
patent
Toronto.
stats first came back and had stats in
I'm
the
trying
rundown.
to, get the minutes in, man.
So all right,
Um,
speaking of getting minutes in, let's talk about a little. 2014 was a good year for movies.
was it?
People forget.
Yes, it was.
Do you remember any movies in 2014? You're supposedly
Come
like
on,
movies. You're
shot
supposed
out
to
of a
like
cannon.
movies. All right,
Yeah, I'm not supposed to remember
give
every
me.
single year for movies. What am
I'm gonna tell you a bunch of movies that I most likely haven't seen, but I know are good, and a bunch that I have seen
I?
because
You
I
think
there's
you
a
like
lot.
movies? You haven't seen half of the movies. Most of these
I've seen.
movies you've seen for the first time.
Look, what do you want from me? I can't see every movie. This is what the point of the pod is. I'm saving the
I
experience for the
suppose.
audience. Give me
Fair.
Whiplash,
Oh, great movie.
Birdman.
Eh,
Didn't
Damien
like that.
Chazelle. Did you like
Yeah,
Birdman?
I thought it was good.
What was his name? Inarutu? Was that the guy
What?
who the guy who directed
Yeah, yeah,
Birdman?
yeah. It was with
Birdman.
Keaton.
Yeah, I mean Keaton, Edward Norton,
Gone
good. Whole
Girl.
movies in one shot. Gone Girl, phenomenal. Fincher.
John Wick.
God, the birth of my favorite action franchise of all time.
Obviously Interstellar.
Was that John
American.
Wick one?
Yeah, John Wick 1. American Sniper.
Oof.
Guardians of the
Little
Galaxy
Clint.
1. Captain
Okay,
America:
actually,
Winter Soldier.
okay.
The Lego Movie, Edge of Tomorrow, Theory of
Honestly, the
Everything.
Lego Movie was phenomenal. Theory of Everything, Edge of Tomorrow. These movies are crazy. This is a crazy year.
Yeah,
Are
bro.
you just reading off of what was
I'm reading off the
nominated for
I'm
Oscars?
I'm shooting off the top 50 list on IMDb, and I'm like halfway down. A lot of good
All
movies.
right. What I don't know anything about how this did this win Oscars? Like I didn't even, you know me. I do little to no preparation for this.
Yeah, I didn't really do that kind of prep either, but let me take a look real quick.
It seems like you're on your computer, so I was hoping you could look it up.
Yeah, 100%. It got
It's kind of
nominated for Best Score. Obvious, it should have won Best Score. If it didn't, that's crazy.
didn't win, huh? What did it lose to?
I'm not sure. I don't have. Let me pull up the Oscars from that year. Best production design, sound editing, sound mixing, and best visuals. Yeah, those all track. I can see the
Best costume
performances.
design.
I can
This
see the
is space
performances not
people.
winning. You know what? I'm sure probably won sound is Whiplash. Probably won over it. That's my guess. But let me see
Yeah,
if I can pull it up.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, I can see the performances not
No,
winning.
best sound editing, American Sniper. Best sound
Wow.
mixing, Whiplash. Yeah, that makes sense. Visual
So
ed.
did
It won for visual effects. It had to have. There's no way it couldn't
fair
have.
enough. Yep,
Yeah.
fair enough. What's his name? Hoyte van Hoytema,
Yep.
cinematographer. Really snapped off in this movie. He's done a lot of. He's done other Nolan movies. He did Oppenheimer. I think he did Tenet. He's done another one. He's doing the Odyssey. Like that guy. I would just watch. I mean, I pulled up his like filmography, the cinematographer for this movie. Um, I just want to watch every movie he's ever made because
Yeah, they're
it's
so
just the most beautiful
the
movie I've
shots are
ever
so
seen. Like
beautiful.
one
Like
of them. Yeah.
the black hole, all the planets they visited were just like spectacular.
Yeah, I mean, just like the way they're able to encapsulate outer space. And there's so much that he does. We'll talk about this when we get into best scene, but there's so much
Mhm.
that he does that Nolan does with the score as well. Like music, like turning music on and off to like make you feel something about a scene. Like the way that, there's just moments in the movie where like you can see the space station floating like past Saturn and it's just dead silent. And it's
Yeah.
like you're really able to understand the scale. So it's like,
Mhm.
yes, obviously the cinematography is incredible, but it's like this movie is greater than the sum of its parts. I actually
I
don't know
think
what
one
that
of
term
the
means, if I can be totally honest with you.
I think
Did I use
the
that term correctly?
turning sound. I think you did. Yeah, the turning the sound
Cool.
off part though is definitely like some key parts. Like towards the end, I guess we should
Yeah,
probably
yeah.
like work through
We'll
the
talk
movie a
about
little
that.
bit before we
Yeah,
get
for sure,
there.
for sure.
Uh,
But the reason I'm saying this is because it's just it builds the entirety of this movie is like you can't just pick and choose. All of this is like the
yeah,
production of this movie. The performances are really good, and we've talked about movies where the performances carry the movie, but I actually don't think it's the case with this movie.
I think that I would agree with that, but I do think there's some very underrated performances that like I don't
For
think
sure.
you'd like. Like I'm curious to see what your like third
Tars
and fourth.
case.
I'm curious. Dude, I'm curious to see what
I
your like
can't wait to
third and
talk about them.
fourth. I'm curious to see what your like for third and fourth
Yeah, yeah.
favorite performances are. Because like I
It's
think the
always
top
going to
two,
be John
I think the
Lithgow.
top yeah, I think the top two are like free. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Also,
We'll chat
Timothy.
about it.
But let's talk real quick. Timothy Chalamet before he smokes cigarettes and becomes Casey
Who?
Affleck.
I mean, who's
Yeah,
hotter than?
that's you in 10 years, Dan. You're Casey
Yeah.
Affleck. That's you
I
in
would
10
be
years.
honored to turn into Casey Affleck. I mean, it's honestly incredible. Like the cast of this movie, I wrote that down. Like the
There
cast of
was
this
a
movie,
minute
I
right where they swapped to Casey Affleck. I was confused. I was like, has it been him the whole time? And I thought it was Timothy Chalamet. This movie really does mess with your perception of time because
this this
I thought it
movie's
was Casey Affleck the whole time.
dude.
And then I also
This
thought I
mo-
was like, did they just dress up Timothy Chalamet to be older? Then I had to look it up. I had to look it up.
this movie's mind bending me so hard that I thought Timothy Chalamet and Casey Affleck were the same person. Yeah, you know what? The casting's really good. Young Murph to Jessica Chastain. I don't know what the
Oh,
girl's
wicked
name
good,
is.
dude.
Phenomenal. I mean, honestly, Timothy Chalamet and Casey Affleck, really good casting. Like
That was wicked good
they
casting, man.
kind of do look alike.
And like,
Um,
let's talk McConaughey. I mean, like,
I mean,
I had this written down. Like in the first like 5 minutes, it's just him just chewing the scenery. He's just talking all day long about like nothing. It's like that. I keep getting
it's e-
it's that
it's
scene
every
from True
link.
Detective. It's that scene from True Detective where Woody Harrelson's talking to him. He's just
Yeah,
like, "Will you just shut up?"
I
He's
just
talking
want you to
about
stop
like,
saying weird shit.
yeah.
You know, this is like a
It's like
memory of a
you're in
town.
someone's
Yeah,
memory
no,
of a dream, which
yeah.
he actually was in a memory of a dream at the end of this
We're not
movie.
gonna. Yeah, it's true. I mean,
But
that is essentially what the whole movie's
yeah,
about. I think we're not gonna do best line, right? I think it's safe to say we can scrap that
I
out.
have a couple lines that are I don't know if they're
Okay.
impactful, but I think one of them is pretty impactful,
Okay.
which like actually is right in
Um,
the start of the movie. That if you want to get into it now, I can just
yeah,
give
we
you.
probably. I was thinking we do
Did
best
you write
scene,
down
best
any best
performance.
lines?
I got two of them, and they're only McConaughey. I'm trying to think if there's
I
anything I
mean,
want to talk about
they're
before.
pretty much all McConaughey for me.
Yeah,
The
I
first one
mean,
is though.
wait,
I mean,
hang
yeah,
on, before you get into that.
yeah.
I wanted to ask you the question is so it's a two-parter.
Mhm.
One, is this the best score you've ever heard in a movie? What
I
what
think
is a better
so.
what movie is a better score than this?
Yeah, I don't think so. It's probably one of the. I don't know if it's the most like iconic score ever because there are a lot of more like pop culture stuff. It's more iconic. Like you can't tell me like the Star Wars score isn't more like iconic than this, right? But I think this is like one.
Iconic, yes.
But I
I
think
just
this
think
is like one of the best scores ever. Yeah,
most
absolutely.
beautifully made
Yeah,
score. Every
yeah.
single
Hans
song
Zimmer,
that's
right?
composed.
Yeah,
Yeah, Zimmer, baby.
yeah. It's
I mean, we know
it's
that
so
Nolan
good.
loves his Zimmer. You can't
And
have
like
Zimmer without Nolan,
and
and
I'm
Nolan
sure
without
like
Zimmer.
the listeners can relate. You know, you go on Instagram Reels and you hear the Interstellar score on every single reel. If there's
Everything.
anything sad, and I didn't realize that was from Interstellar until today. I was
It's
sitting there,
very
and I was like, why have I heard this sound before?
for as deep
Like Pavlov's dog. I can just hear it in my
Pavlov.
head. I said that.
I thought you said Paglog. yeah,
No, not 12.
you've been trained to just like feel like the emotions in this movie,
Yeah.
and it really all kind of weaves into that same reprise of the Cornfield Chase song that
Hmm.
kind of keeps coming back and showing itself through the rest of the movie, just in
Yep.
different tones. Like, you hear it in the beginning, obviously, and you hear it when he's crying, and then you hear it at the end with the black hole. You hear it at the
Hmm.
very end of the movie. Like, it's just kind of keeps weaving its way. No, like, it doesn't have a soundtrack, right? Like, it's just the
No,
score. Like,
there's no
they're not
music
playing
in the
any.
movie. It's
Right.
like,
It's
yeah,
so different from, when Tarantino plays Chuck Berry in Pulp Fiction
yeah.
versus Hans Zimmer just,
It's different when Scorsese plays the riff to "Give Me Shelter" 10 times and
seven
record
times in a movie. Yeah, yeah. Do I
Yeah.
think I enjoy this? I don't know actually which one I enjoy more. A very well put cheesy song or a beautifully conducted
I
score.
think I
It's like,
see like
the two
looking
sides of
listening
my
to some
brain.
of in the prep for this, we listened to some of the old episodes, and I think like a lot of the movies had like distinct songs in them,
Hmm.
especially the Tarantino movies, obviously.
Sure.
But I think we tied a lot to the songs, but this one having no music like that, but the score just like grips you in right away too.
Beautiful. I know.
They
Right.
played the
I always
loud.
forget. Yeah, the piano riff, the famous
No.
Cornfield Chase song that I think everybody does.
Mhm.
You're right. I didn't realize it came so early in the movie. Okay, here is another question for you. Where does this
Mhm.
fall in your category of space movies?
That's pretty high up there. It's pretty like
It's got to be.
The
You
realistic
just
part
saw
is
this
like
for the first time. I mean,
yeah, it was blowing
yeah.
my mind. I don't know if I necessarily understand all the, it's
Nah,
like realistic for
I don't get
science,
it.
and I clearly am. Yeah, no,
That's
we're
what
not
I'm
smart
saying.
enough
Like
to
my
understand that.
my
Like,
astronomy professor when I was a
but like,
freshman in
let me
college,
tell
he
you,
could have been saying anything. I would have believed
I think it's pretty high up there though. There's a lot, a lot of space movies came out. I feel like around that time,
it.
right? You had Gravity, you
Arrival,
had Arrival, you had Ad Astra with Brad Pitt.
Ad Astra, two. Oh wait, no, Gravity was Clooney. Um,
Yeah, Clooney
yeah,
and Sandra Bullock, right?
yeah, Sandy B and Clooney. I've actually never
Yeah.
seen Gravity, and I've never seen Ad Astra.
I
Um,
haven't seen them either. I just know they're about space.
Arrival's phenomenal. I guess you can't really call Arrival a space movie. It's more like just an alien movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like, for me, the gold standard of space movie was always 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Hmm.
Just because I felt like at the time what that movie did was so far ahead of. I mean, fuck. Again, I guess I wasn't around when it came out. Just felt like for that movie being made in that time period, it was so far ahead.
Yeah, bro.
This,
There's a reason it's taught in every single film class you've ever taken or ever will take.
Yeah, exactly. Like, obviously, what's his face, Kubrick movie. Like, I think that Interstellar absolutely needs to be like, this is a revolutionary space movie. I mean, this is like, remember when they came out? It wasn't that long ago. I want to say it was like 2 or 3 years ago. Excuse me. They came out with an actual picture of a black hole.
Hmm.
Do you remember seeing that? That came out like 2 years ago. This movie came out in 2014.
So
When
they
did it come out?
made like a new, 2014. They made a new like CGI engine to like simulate what a black hole should look like for this
This
movie, and it looks so real. It's
It's
crazy.
unbelievable. But then they came. So this movie comes out and they show you what a black hole looks like, and
Mhm.
then we get a real picture of a black hole. It looks almost exactly the same.
And also, like, let's talk about black hole real quick. Terrifying,
Terrifying, horrifying,
terrifying.
and
Like
and
gets sucked through the black hole, and you just see everything turns black, and you can only
I
see what's through the
yeah,
other
that's
side. Terrifying.
isn't that funny? Isn't that funny how it works? And
Yeah.
we'll talk about it in best scene that Nolan is able to make the audience feel like
Mhm.
this is what it would actually feel like to get into a black hole, which is a feeling that nobody on ever is has ever experienced, at least to
Yeah.
live to tell the tale.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, this movie's just a masterclass in directing, cinematography. Everything about this movie is awesome. I also think, like, as far as the post-apocalyptic world trope goes, I really like what they're doing in this. I like the idea
Mhm.
that the world has run out of food. It's not zombies. It's not a giant wave. It's not the day after tomorrow where
Yeah,
everything turns to ice.
it's dust storms because the like planet is
Believable.
just falling apart. Yeah.
I've been watching a lot of movies recently. Watching a lot of movies and TV shows where it's like this end of the world thing, and they're all getting very far too real. Like, they're freaking me. I don't know if you saw. This is where I forget the name of the movie. It came out. It was Julia Roberts, Mahershala Ali, Ethan Hawke.
So
It was a Netflix movie, and it's all about, like, how there was like a cyber attack on the U.S. and it sent us spiraling into civil war. And I was like, this post apocalyptic world scares the hell out of me because it's very it could happen.
Yeah.
Obviously, the interstellar world is very likely to happen. I mean, fuck, I guess very likely is a crazy term. It seems very real, but in a way that doesn't scare you. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Just riffing. I'm just Cal Rifkin. So yeah. Anyways, lot of good things came out of this movie. A lot of good memes as well. It's a very memeable movie, like what you and me have talked about.
Yeah. I think I didn't
There's a
really
lot
write
of
anything down for the best meme category, but I think we can just go off the rip and
yeah.
segue.
I think we know. What do you want to start with? Line,
Um,
performance, scene, cinematic. I mean, what do you want to do? I kind of figured
I
we just
mean,
do line, performance, scene.
yeah, I mean, I think we can go
Let's do
for
scene.
line. Yeah, all right, scene. Okay.
Yeah,
What
let's
was
do scene.
your? What do you got for scene?
Well, I mean, I think what I realized is a lot of my best scene of the movie nominations kind of came in kind of like I want to say not the second half, but maybe in act two. Obviously the opening is incredible. You got him in the cornfield, they're chasing down the drone. But for me, like the opening scene, when they first go into the wormhole, to me
Mm,
that is one of the coolest scenes in the movie. It is. All I wrote was cinema porn. The way that you see the wormhole in the distance, and he starts to talk with David Gyasi, who plays Romilly,
yeah, with the paper,
about
the explanation where he puts
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. I think that's such a cool moment in the movie
Mm,
where
I
like
had that written down.
time, yeah, time and time again, like you have, obviously none of us are physicists, but like whenever physics gets explained to me like I'm a child, I just think it's so cool. And the way that he does that with the paper and the pencil and just pushing it right through, and then you
Mm,
see it right in front of you. Like you
yeah,
see the spherical. That's crazy. I mean, once again, I don't understand how Nolan is able to. How do you know what to do? Like, who are you consulting to say, how do we make a wormhole?
he had to have like scientists or something on the film, like consulting,
Just
like
yeah, just like science guys. Like
yeah,
just
that's
like hired a couple
it's
scientists.
too good, man. Like
So the
it's
worm,
so
I thought,
accurate.
yeah, I thought the wormhole was incredible. Um, and then, but my next couple of scenes are basically it's everything after the wormhole.
Mhm.
I guess I'll start with talking about the water planet that they get to. What's her name's planet?
Yep.
What is her name? I watched it like 3 days ago, so it's fresh in my mind, but not as fresh as it obviously
I
is
can't remember
yours.
the scientist who like was their name.
Um, God, I forget her name. Anyways, the
Planet
so
before they
many
go
cool.
to the Dr. Man's.
Mhm.
It's planet before they go to Dr. Man's planet.
Correct. The water planet, right? Like,
Yeah.
and I think there's so many cool things about this scene. Um, the, uh, there's this. Yeah, I don't know how well known this is, but if you listen in the background of the water scene, you can hear the ticking, right? Have you heard about this? Have you heard about this?
Mm,
This
no, I
essentially,
haven't. I'm assuming it has something to relate with like time though.
yes, exactly. So the big debate is before they go on to Water Planet,
Mm,
um, is how much time, like what does it say? 1 day is 7 years on Earth or something like that.
yeah.
So they have to make this like big sacrifice, but to get down there. As soon as they kind of start to descend and get break the atmosphere of that, you start to hear this ticking in the background. And as I understand it, every tick is like another day on Earth. So if you're not listening for it, you might miss it. It's pretty well known. I think if you know about Interstellar, you know about what I'm talking about. But just that kind of thing, that Nolan is doing. He's running laps, man. He's mentally, he's just priming you for this movie for all these
Yeah.
big moments to hit. We say
Hmm.
goodbye to the actor who plays Seneca Crane. He'll always be the guy who plays Seneca Crane from the Hunger Games to me. You know the guy who I'm talking about? He's from
Hmm.
Yellowstone. He's the guy who
Yep.
gets washed away on the water planet.
Side note for the
He
water planet
dies.
scene, the tars and the robot designs are just so cool.
I
The way
wrote
Tars is just like
coolest.
rolling
I
through the
wrote
water.
robots are so fucking cool. Hell yeah, case. Like are these
He
the coolest
yeah,
robots in movies? Like
yeah. Like the designs are sweet. The way Tars will just like
the way
walk.
he
He
starts
looks
to
like
yeah,
a
like but like
yeah. He just
the
starts
the
spinning
moment
like
that
a
he like
wheel.
yeah, dude, like when Anne Hathaway's character is like He's like, "Go get him, Case," and he's like, "I'm on it, boss."
I
And he
will
just starts
say
to do.
a little bit of just like, yeah, it's awfully convenient. He's just programmed for everything they need. I get it. It's like that's his purpose.
Yeah,
But
I think.
but it's just like literally everything. He's like, oh, I gotta chart the black hole. Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously, him coming back at the end is like, you got to suspend your disbelief for some of this movie because
No,
I
yeah,
don't know how much of it we could really just. But
yeah,
yeah, no, I mean, these guys, the robots are constantly just saving everybody's asses the whole movie. Like when Case
mm,
lands the ship back at the space station towards the end.
yeah,
I thought the robot, yeah, I like that you said that because the robot design in this movie is so cool, man. Like the way he picks her
mm,
up and like the way he like gallops like on the scene when they're on the ice planet and the way you
yeah,
like see Case like or Tars like just galloping. That's so
mm,
original. It's so cool.
yeah.
Way
I
cooler than
thought
like
the
iRobot.
for kind of a different scene, but similar to the best that scene, the vlogs right after where they realize they've
Yeah,
lost, 20,
I
23 years is crazy, dude. You imagine
that's why that
you catch up on
that
23 years of life.
not only that, I mean, yes. So that's part of why I think this scene is so cool because yes, as soon as they get off the water planet,
Mm,
they lose the guy who plays Seneca Crane. They get what they came for, but they kind of screwed up the mission. Um, and then they go back onto the ship, and the first thing you see is David Yassi's character
mm,
like standing there, like, and then he opens. They've been gone for 10 minutes on screen, and he comes back and he's like, that line that he says will always ring to me when he just goes like, "I've waited years," and he's just standing, and he's all awkward, and like the performance by him is incredible because imagine trying to act like you haven't made contact with a human
yeah.
being in over 20
Well,
years.
he says like, I don't know if you're coming back.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's like, I lost hope. He took the cryo sleep
yeah.
a couple times, like, but just like the way that he's able to convey that.
Mm,
How would you like? We're not actors. We're niche
and
podcast hosts. I don't know how I would be able to act as if I haven't seen somebody for 20. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's the way he does it. It's really,
yeah,
it's moving. I like, and that from there, that's when the tears start, baby. I mean,
mm,
everything everything after this scene is like you realize the gravity of the situation that they're in. That's when like the real premise of this movie sets in that he might never be coming back because they spent so much time down there in that friggin' water planet because of Anne Hathaway's. Well, I guess it wasn't Anne Hathaway's character's fault, but um, I got another
so
question for you.
we can't turn this into blaming the one woman in the movie like we did
No,
with Vera Farmiga for the entire plot.
no. Listen, Vera Farmiga blaming Vera Farmiga for a lot of the movie of The Departed was very right. It was
You know,
extremely
accurate,
valid.
accurate.
Extremely valid. Casey
I
Affleck in
think
that scene.
going from there. Yeah, I was like right after my notes after the vlog scene is Timothy Chalamet morphs into Casey Affleck with a question mark because I wasn't
Yeah,
sure about it.
Tim, the Timothy. You didn't really understand the transition. That this is actually it's the same guy, but it's just
No,
a
I
different actor.
understand. I understand that.
They think I obviously love the casting. Casey Affleck in that says he tells the story about how he lost his daughter Jessie, really sad. He has another son, and he says that he wanted to name his son Coop,
Mhm.
but his wife wouldn't let him. I saw this. I won't take credit for this question because I did see it on another podcast. He was going to name his son Cooper because Cooper is the last name
Yeah.
of these
I
kids.
also like I didn't really get that whole thing.
That is Coop is
Must be
McConaughey's nickname
maybe yeah like it
because his last name is Cooper. It's like me naming myself Roger
yeah.
and La Lavoy.
You should go by Roger. That'd be a lot cooler.
Raj Rod. Well, Rogers. Raj is a good name. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
Roging, growing up. Yeah, no, I definitely I shed some tears. The other really crazy thing is we talked about this earlier. Music's going. McConaughey's just bawling his eyes out, and then right as Casey Affleck's message stops, he kind of tells him like, "Hey man, I think I'm done leaving messages." The music cuts. Casey Affleck's screen goes to black. Music drops, and then you're just kind of like waiting there for a second, and then up pops Jessica Chastain as Murph, and then that's like from there it just
Yeah.
keeps hitting you.
Yeah,
with the
because you got her and
emotions. Like,
you got Dr. Brand and her like relationship kind of starting, like where
yeah,
he's like
cool,
kind of
but
pseudo replacing Anne Hathaway. She's pseudo
mhm.
replacing her dad with like him.
Yeah,
So
right.
that's like another like C tier storyline in the movie.
Michael Caine,
Um,
great casting. Nolan loves his Michael
yeah,
Caine.
yeah,
I mean, is Michael
absolutely.
Caine in every single Christopher Nolan movie? Like he might
Has to
be.
be, has
He
to be.
has
It's
to
a
be.
lifetime. He's got a lifetime contract.
It's a big
Um,
moment because it's the first time that you see Murph since she was a
yeah,
kid. It's the first time McConaughey sees her, obviously, but she
Mhm.
hasn't recorded a message ever up until this point.
And then I
And
think the
thus
next part,
begins my praise for Jessica Chastain's performance in this movie
yeah,
because
absolutely. And
I
I
think
think
he
we'll get to
steals
her
it. I
with
honestly,
best. We'll get to her with best
yeah.
performance when we.
hmm
But we're going through the movie a little bit more. We get into they get to the ice planet
Yeah,
with
Matt
Damon.
Damon's Cold Planet. Walk me through that one because I
Yeah,
had that
and
on
I
my next
think
one.
talk me. I have written down cryostasis is just weird. Like
Cryospace,
I'm sorry, like
cryosleep.
cryostasis that just looks weird. Like when they're
Yeah,
taking Damon out, it's just like they're
it,
unzipping him and
well,
like he like
it's
they're
gross.
yeah
Kind of
like
reminds
it's
me of
just you know
like Alien, back in the day with
yeah
Sigourney Weaver. Like it's like they're being born. But I actually think
yeah.
it's really cool when Matt Damon comes out of
Mhm.
cryosleep and he just starts bawling his eyes out.
Well, so like
Because like,
the whole thing in the movie he's Lazarus, like that's the whole like the Lazarus
mhm,
mission. He's Lazarus because he
yeah,
dies.
he's the
He
guy.
like dies, right? He goes into cryo sleep with no wake up date, and then he comes
hmm
back, and it's supposed to be him,
So imagine
recolonizing
all the
Earth.
emotions going
That's what he's
through
talking about. Yeah.
Dr. Mann's character in that is
Yeah.
I never thought I'd see another person. Two, I thought I was going to be dead.
Mhm.
So to be woken up, and then what better way to be awoken from your, thousands of years of slumber than by Matthew McConaughey cradling you like a little baby?
Yeah.
Because I'm sure I would probably cry if
Mhm.
that happened to me too. That's
Yeah.
a really good just whole kind of development because now you learn about the alternative. You learn about Murph is simultaneously learning about what's been going on as she's
Mhm.
growing up with Jessica Chastain's character and Michael Caine. Then she breaks the news that like this was all this was all kind of fucked from the beginning, right?
Yeah.
Plan,
Absolutely.
plan A was never supposed to work. Um, you realize the gravity of that situation. That
Well, and that's why like Dr. Man just feels off the entire time.
did
Like
you
like
feel like you noticed something? Did you
yeah,
feel
like the
like
whole
you got
time, like
that?
he's like, yeah, like I don't know if we should go out because the weather. Oh, weather's fine. You charged up. Yeah, I'm charged up. You got your It's like
I agree.
he's trying to delay it. It's just very obvious. Like
Did you ever think there was
he felt
anything
off
going
the
on
whole
with Dr.
time.
Brandt back in back home? Did you ever feel like Michael Caine was lying at any point?
I mean, like the whole thing just kind of felt like off from the second they got
Yeah.
to the facility, and it's just like, oh yeah, he happened. Like I know it's all connected at the end because he
He
pushed
does
him
kind
there
of just
realistically.
yes, true. He does push him there because I was
It
just about
like
to
it
say
is him
that
who
doesn't
does
make
it
any
in the
sense.
end. It isn't
Yeah.
him in the end who does it.
hmm
But it just feels off. They're like, oh yeah, you're our only pilot. Like NASA was like revived, but you're the only pilot who's gone in space. Like there's no other fucking living pilots. I find
Nobody
that to be
has
so dumb.
nobody else.
Like
Yeah,
our
yeah,
pilot's like a hunted down like profession. Like
yeah, yeah,
they're
yeah.
killing all the pilots so no
They're
one can leave
killing
the
the
planet.
pilots.
Like that's not like
Yeah, they
it's a
will.
pilot dictatorship. They're
The first thing
anti-pilot.
that
I don't.
everybody knows that the first person that you get rid of at NASA is the pilots. They're the ones that are causing all the
Yeah.
problems.
And it's like,
It,
yeah, I'm pretty sure the first people who didn't go into space have been to space either. I think you can still send them there
yeah,
though. Like,
exactly.
like it
I
doesn't
think you're
make
right about
sense.
Matt Damon's character because I mean, yeah, I feel like from the moment that you meet him, like you just feel like something's off. You feel like something's going on. That whole
I
fight scene with him and McConaughey,
Yep, and that's one of the best
it's
scenes in the movie. I
crazy.
put that down for best scene.
Yep, I agree with you.
um,
I would agree with you.
I also had a best line like during that fight. I liked where he's like headbutting him, and he's like 50-50 chance you'll kill yourself, and he's like, "That's the best chance I've had in years."
Oh, best odds. He goes the best odds I've had in years. Like, yeah,
Yeah,
what a crazy
perfect,
line. And he
perfect.
says some other stuff in that, in that scene that everything
Mhm.
that Matt Damon is saying to McConaughey is just like fuck. It's just like heavy hitters. Like the world is over. Nobody can save it. And
Mhm.
what I'm doing, yeah, I'm watching it with my roommates, and I look over at my buddy, and I'm like, honestly, I think that what my man is doing is justified. I don't like. I understand what man is doing in this scene. I get it.
Well, so here's the thing too. Like in the next scene, after that, I don't want to move ahead too quick to get you out of
No,
here. But when they go back to the planet with Tom, right? The whole thing's Tom's kid is dying because he's living near like the dust, and like they kind of just they
like
Casey Affleck.
Topher Grace. No,
Oh,
Topher
Topher.
Grace.
Yeah,
Not really.
I have in my
Grace.
notes. I have in my notes just Topher Grace showed out because he just shows up, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Topher Grace? Question mark. I haven't seen that.
Yeah,
I haven't seen Eddie Brock from Spider-Man
but
3 in a long time.
Tom, McConaughey's son, Casey Affleck,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
Dr. Mann are like the same because they won't let people leave to like survive, and that's like their whole
That's a
thing.
good little. Yeah, that's a good little.
You know what I mean? And it's like a good. They were like back to back. There's like comparison. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I didn't pick that up, but yeah, I completely agree with you. I mean,
Yeah.
like the way they kind of cut from back and forth to
Tell me
man
why
to
the
Casey
docking.
Affleck.
Tell me why the docking scene CGI like it looks so terrible. I know it wasn't because he's like controlling it, but it looks like they
You
just
think
like,
so?
dude, when
When the ship is moving?
yeah, it looks like they just like pick it up and it's just moving around like this.
I
It looks like it
I'm
was
not gonna lie
from
to you. Kind of like I noticed that every time I watch this movie.
like it looks cool and I understand that's the point, right? Because they're so advanced they can drive it like
It
that.
does
But
look like a video game though.
it looks like it's out of the 1970 Star Wars. Like that's like the
Yeah, I feel like
CGI
I'm
it looks
playing
like.
like the OG Mass Effect 1, like
Yeah,
on
it's just like
PlayStation
so.
2.
It
Like,
felt
yeah, it
so
does
out
a
of
little.
in a movie with visuals like this. It felt so out of place.
It
It
does
didn't
feel a
like
little
take
out of
me.
place,
It
doesn't
didn't
it?
take me out of it, but because
No,
then
you're
right
right. I
after
mean,
to
the
bring
whole
me right back
docking.
in, yeah, the whole docking scene, like the sound goes out right as it explodes.
Oh my God! I
It,
mean, I love that moment.
mhm.
Once again, another moment where Nolan shuts the music off and just makes you like, for whatever
Mhm.
reason, and it's what I've always felt is the most terrifying. Like outer space is horrifying. As a guy who I'm a chronic thalassophobia guy. You know, I hate the open
Yep.
water.
Mhm.
The open space is even scarier to me because of just the idea that you don't know what's out there. But like the way that the silence, like you feel the silence when he gets sucked out, and it's like boom, you're gone. You're in
Yep.
deep space,
Mhm.
and nothing. You can't. It was a movie a long time ago. It was like a space horror movie where it was like no, the whole movie was like a premise like they can't hear you or something, like the aliens are killing you but you can't hear, nobody can hear you because the aliens are killing you. Anyway, just really spooky the way that he does that. I love that the tension. You're getting the narration from Anne Hathaway's character McConaughey are yelling at him through the intercom, don't do it,
Mhm.
don't do it. Like you feel like you're there. Like Nolan is
Yeah.
such a good way of making you
Mhm.
feel like you are in the spaceship with Dr. Mann and in the spaceship with the rest of them.
Do you have any more best lines?
I have
Because
two best lines.
I'll be honest, I have kind of one that I wanted to propose to you. That's really not a line, but it's like the best line is just like the score.
Sure, yeah. The best line in the movie is the score. No, I'm in, yeah.
Like that's
Um,
kind of just like fits. You know what I mean? I think we can settle that one.
if you have actual lines, let's keep, because I have one more scene that I want to talk about.
I have one more
And then we can.
scene, and the line is in. No, I got two more. I got two more lines, and one
My
more scene.
lines are yeah. My lines are one
I
of
mean,
the
let's go
first
through the
lines in the
scene.
movie and one of the last lines in the movie. So
The infinite Murph rooms. Obviously, that's one of the best
yeah,
scenes.
I kind of just said the whole black hole from the moment
Yeah,
that
the
they
visuals of
they
Black
they
Hole were
get the
crazy.
plan to say, hey, okay,
Mhm.
the only way to get home, or the only way to get to Edmund's planet, because now the plan has changed, and now that they can't go back to Earth, they have to go to Edmund's planet, and the only way they can do that is by kind of catapulting themselves from the gravitational pull of the black hole.
Mhm.
And then just for McConaughey, when he drops out of the ship, another moment. I think they shut the sound off in that scene as well. You know what he's talking about when he just drops into the black hole. Another moment where the sound cutting out hits you so hard. Yeah, and again, I can't praise Christopher Nolan enough for creating what it looks like or must feel like to be sucked into a black hole. How do you do that? How do you
Well, and all,
know?
yeah, like it's the crazy. Also, side note, when he's in the black hole, I get his
Sidebar.
ship is exploding. Sidebar. He just going to eject into space with his just the suit.
Yeah, yeah. I
It's
mean,
like
at that
okay,
point, at that point,
I
it's like
got
fuck it. The
I
ship
get
isn't
it.
going to save me.
Look, if I'm in a black hole, I'm panicking. I'm not my rational self. I
You're
get it.
definitely not
Right?
thinking straight, I think.
Yeah, but it's like I get he's hearing eject too. Maybe that's like influencing a little bit, right? But it's like I don't know if
You
that's
don't think
plan
you
A.
don't
I don't
you
know if
don't
that's
think
plan
eject
A.
is plan A? I don't think
No,
eject
I
was
don't.
plan A either. I think eject was
No.
probably plan
Mhm.
W, but considering what happens when he goes into the black hole about his whole ship shutting down,
Yeah.
his ship starting to get ripped up, he's probably like, well, fuck it. I mean, I might as well. I'm not going to let some piece of metal stab me in the heart for my ship. But
And then
I actually don't think that it was him. He pulls the eject lever, right? Or does it
yeah, he
eject
definitely
him?
does. No, he
He
definitely
pulls
pulls
it.
a bit
I
over.
thought
Yeah,
they
he's like reaching
it
for it.
looked kind of like they kind of like shoot him out of
Maybe some
that.
more time shenanigans.
Another moment in the movie where as soon as he leaves the ship, dead silence. It's just like his like
Yep.
labored kind of breathing, in his like friggin' cool spacesuit microphone, and as he's like, oh, and it's just like, and there's nothing else going on.
Mhm.
Crazy. It's just so many moments in this movie that
Yeah,
like, you just
and
hold your
then
breath watching this
yeah,
movie so many times. You
yeah,
know?
and then he goes through. We find out he's the ghost, obviously.
Yeah,
Um,
and I'm not gonna lie to you, like, I still don't get it. I still don't really get it. I've seen it probably four or
it's a
five
little like
times.
supernatural type thing, where it's like not
Well, they
like
keep talking
divine, but
about
it's
the
other stuff.
beings, but
No,
at the
no,
end,
you don't get it. It's the quote. They didn't bring us to change the past. We brought ourselves. It's
we brought
him the
ourselves.
whole
It's
time.
him the
It's
whole
humans
time.
like 100 million years in the future that built it. Beings from the future who like have transcended the fifth dimension because that's what the movie says. Have like
Mm,
built it, right? So it's the future humans. Now it could be him in the future. I don't know. Is
that's
he
true.
immortal? Is he immortal if he just keeps going through time places and like ages 100,000 years, but like in 5 minutes? I don't
Is that
know.
immoral? I think it's
I,
fucking sick.
yeah, I mean, being immortal probably actually wouldn't be sick, but
Oh, is it? Are you saying immoral or immortal?
immortal.
I thought you meant is it immoral? Yeah,
No,
no, he's immortal. I
yeah,
mean, I think you have to assume that at the end of the movie, they've probably figured out a way to extend
mhm,
human life if they put everybody on a space station orbiting
yeah.
Saturn. I'm sure they were able to
Mhm.
progress. So, but
So
okay, yeah, that makes sense.
and
I feel like I
and
need this
then
movie explained to me a lot.
yeah, and then end of the movie. We go. He wakes up station.
He
I
sees
like the
Mark.
Cooper. Yep, I like the Cooper House Museum. I thought that was a nice touch
That was
with all the
cool.
little pop up video segments. Felt realistic
Yeah,
enough.
yeah, cool. I think I actually like that, and it's something I forgot to mention at the beginning of the movie, beginning of
Mhm.
the podcast is like that's the way they open the movie is with those little mockumentary style kind of snippets of old people just kind of being like, oh, the dust was too big, we ran
So
out of
those are
corn, ran
actually
out of
real.
okra.
Those are real from like Ken Burns documentary in the Dust Bowl.
Shut up! Are you
Yeah,
serious?
yeah, 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 yeah.
What?
Yeah.
So obviously the one with
Realism.
the actress who plays Murph was
Yeah,
like superimposed in there.
yeah,
That's cool. I didn't know. I had no idea. Ken Burns just keeps finding himself in everything, I suppose.
absolutely.
I think it's
So
cool. It's a cool callback to the beginning of the movie, though, because it ties it all
yeah,
in. The
mhm,
way the movie opens, you're like, "What the hell are they talking about?" And then
yeah.
when you go back to that little house museum,
So
um,
we've talked best scene.
yeah,
We
it's got
talked
to be the
best
black
moment.
hole. I mean, the whole.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
we
the
didn't
whole
even talk
thing.
about the best part of the black hole scene is the moment when you figure it out when he's in the tesseract and he's moving his. I think watching this, did you understand? Like when that scene happened, right at the end, when he's putting his fingers in and it's changing the dust and he's pushing the books, did you have like a come to Jesus moment where you're like, oh shit, or did you kind of know that that was happening the whole movie?
I kind of felt like in the beginning, you knew something was happening. Like it just says stay. They figured that out right away. That was like
Yeah.
such a tell in the beginning. If it was just like
Mm.
the way the coordinates fell, which also didn't really make a lot of sense to me. Like
Don't get that either,
how do
but
you figure
whatever.
that out? But
I don't know. I
you
don't
know,
know. We can't gripe every single movie we watch.
yeah,
Although
no,
I guess we
um,
could.
no, absolutely,
This
um,
podcast isn't about ripping movies. It's about enjoying movies.
no,
Although
absolutely. And
most some movies
this was
need
one to enjoy.
but so okay. So
I feel like
you
I got it the whole
never
time though. No, I feel
you
like
did
I
okay.
understood it the whole time, and at the end, it like just like made sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They do a great job like tying a bow around it.
Yeah,
I think because
I
I've seen
wrote
this
my
movie so
last
many
note
times.
on like the plot of the movie was just earned ending.
earned ending. Love that. Yeah, the
Yeah,
ending was
like
great.
it earned the satisfaction at the end where he sees the daughter, but she's about to pass away with all of her huge family there. You see, like she
Yeah.
clearly like saved the world. Like it's great.
Yeah, I love how he has that little snippet where
Yeah,
he's like, "Where are we?" They're like, "Oh, we're in Cooper Station." He's like, "Oh, she named it after me. That's funny." And she giggles and she's like, "No, we named it after Murphy Cooper, your daughter, who
yeah, yeah.
created."
Great
Like
moment.
Matthew McConaughey's character, his role in the movie is to be, the being, right? But Murphy, Jessica Chastain's
Yeah.
character, she's the one who saves the world, not
Well,
Matthew McConaughey.
the whole point, and he's in the Tesseract, right? And he's saying that he's like, it was not me, it was her the whole time.
Right. It was always her. It was always
Yeah.
her. It was always Jessica
Um.
Chastain, and it always will be because I love Jessica Chastain, everything that she's
So
in.
yeah, let's get into it because I think I think we've gone through the movie, we've talked through our categories. Let's go through the
I
big
want to talk.
category that everyone
I
talks
want to
about.
talk about
Best
performance.
performance. That's all we got left. That's the best performance.
Beautiful. Okay, can I?
So let me
Wait,
just give you
sorry.
my
Wait,
ranking.
wait,
Let me just give you my
wait, wait,
ranking,
wait,
and
wait.
then we'll
I gotta
talk.
tell you my favorite line from this movie.
All right, give it.
It opens. It's in the very beginning when he's at that stupid board meeting for his daughter,
Mhm.
and he's talking about how about Timothy Chalamet's like not going to go to college, and they go, "Oh, his test scores weren't high enough," and he points to the guy and he goes, "What size waist are you? About a 33? What are you, about a 32-inch inseam?" And he goes, "And so you're telling me it takes two numbers to measure your own ass, but it only takes one to determine my kid's future?" Such a fucking banger of a line, dude.
McConaughey, dude, he's
I
just
wish like this movie could have had some really hilarious lines, but I feel like they don't let McConaughey do the
McConaughey
McConaughey
can
thing.
can turn on the hilarious snark at any point.
He's perfect. I
Any
mean,
point.
the whole podcast just talking about how he delivers shit, but and then don't let me leave Murph. I mean that obviously
Of
going back
course,
to Black
of
Hole,
course, of course.
beautiful. But
Um,
yeah, best performance. So
so let's go just
yeah,
down the
talk
list
to me.
in order. McConaughey, number one. I think there are some you can argue maybe a Chastain. Those are the only two that come close in my mind. McConaughey's definitely number one though. Like,
Yeah,
you know,
I
I
I
think number
I
three,
think you have
I
to put
like
him at one because the whole movie is him.
yeah,
He gets
there's
the most
not enough
screen time.
like Anne Hathaway does a good job, but I feel like there's not enough of her like really reacting to stuff. You have the one scene where her dad
I,
dies
I
and then she's
I do
like,
think I do think that she's really good. I think the
yeah,
scene with Anne Hathaway where McConaughey tells Romilly, David Ghazi's character, that um, she's in love with Wolf Edmonds, the guy on the planet. Like she kind
mhm,
of goes into that whole monologue about love and how love transcends reality and things like that. Like I actually think this is I had a moment watching this movie where I'm thinking to myself about Anne Hathaway because I feel like I've never really seen Anne Hathaway in a movie like this. I see her as the lovable kind of fun girl, or like the shy, kind of the rom
yeah,
com, like maybe I haven't seen enough Anne Hathaway movies. I feel like I have, but
mhm,
it kind of just goes to show, like, with the right script, with the right writing, so many actors can be so great. Because I really feel like Anne Hathaway is incredible in this movie. She
oh
just
yeah.
doesn't get enough screen time, but like she does a very good job in this movie.
I also
Um,
thought, just like as actors with like being in good spots. I think Casey Affleck did a phenomenal job portraying
Case,
like the
I
traumatized son who's got to hold up the whole family.
yeah, no, he's
Like,
definitely never done that before.
yeah,
But no, you're right. Casey Affleck's great. There, I,
like
I would be hard pressed to find a Casey Affleck thing
the
that I dislike.
the stubbornness of not leaving the farm because it was his dad's. He took it
He's
over from
good,
him, but then he ends up hating. He hates his dad.
and not for nothing. When Timothy Chalamet's playing young, what
Thought he was
is the
good
kid's
too.
name?
Yeah,
What's his name?
Tom.
Tom. He's playing young Tom. He's a dick his whole life. This guy
Yep.
Tom. Tom's a dick,
Hmm.
and Chalamet does a great job of being kind of
Yep.
a little prick. He's mean to Murph.
Um,
He's mean at school.
I thought Damon had a pretty decent performance.
Damon's great in this movie. I've always said something funny about this movie.
Mhm.
Not long after this movie came out, the Martian came out.
Mhm.
One of my favorite space movies, Ridley Scott, phenomenal movie. Obviously, it's all about Matt Damon being stuck on Mars. The way that when Ben Affleck wasn't in The Departed, they came out with The Town after. Ben Affleck was like, why wasn't I in this Matt Damon movie about Boston? I need to be in it. So then they made The Town. Matt Damon being in this for very little time, being like, why don't I get my own space movie? And then going to The Martian.
Makes his own
To
space
me,
movie.
it just kind of
Makes a
feels like
space movie where he's the
serendipitous.
only guy in space.
He's the only guy in space, as was with Ben Affleck. It's always comes back to those two. Damon's great. Damon's great in this movie. Damon's great in every movie. I don't think he's doing anything outside of the ordinary.
And then just to wrap up the quick performances, I don't really think. I mean, Michael Caine, we already spoke about. Great job.
Michael Caine's good.
Great.
I mean, there's such a good cast.
So,
Michael Caine's great in this movie. John Lithgow is really good as the dad.
The robots.
Again, David Gyasi, who plays Romilly. I think his name's Romini. Romini's the guy who plays Romini's really good. I really thought the whole movie, and this actually, I've seen this movie probably 4 times. I thought that Tars was voiced by Matt Damon the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds just like him.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not him.
They were puppets. That's how they filmed it. Like the robots.
The robots were puppets?
Yeah.
Like string?
I don't think they were string puppets. I think they were like someone's in them, like controlling them puppets, like behind them.
Is that still a puppet?
That's like a marionette puppet.
Okay, and then they got the Muppet.
For the audio listeners, Dan is holding his hands up, just moving his fingers like he's controlling.
This is a puppet, and this is a puppet.
Yeah, we're gonna.
Obviously, I know the two.
Like that on YouTube. So,
what were they like? This? How did they? I need to see a picture of them controlling Tars. Was it like
I didn't
this?
see. I read it. I didn't see how they controlled it. I'll get back to you in the next episode of this.
It's got to be. It's got to be this. If we're talking puppets, we're talking like Jason Segel from Forgetting Sarah Marshall, Dracula puppets.
Yep, Dracula puppets, exactly.
Even Tars and Case are incredible in this movie. I love both of them.
Yeah,
Case has a great line where Coop says something to him, and Case is just like, "Yeah, Roger that." And he goes, "You don't talk much, do you, Case?" And he goes, "Yeah, Tars talks enough for both of us." Like these might be.
Tars also has just like a perfect sense of humor for a robot, and it's just like the 90% trust because absolute honesty is not good for people with emotion. Like
right, and I love the scene at the end when McConaughey's fixing Tars back up, and he's adjusting the humor settings.
Yeah, he's like, "You want 55%?"
Yeah, and he's just like, and he's like, "Knock knock," and he's like, kind of goes down the list of funny jokes. I love the two of them. I think it's obviously between McConaughey and Chastain. I think it's easy to say McConaughey is the best performance in this movie.
I think it's easier too because he's him the whole time, and a lot of the Chastain performance is like the character. Like I think the Child Murph did a great job.
Child Murph is phenomenal as well, but I do think that I think this is one of the better Jessica Chastain performances I've ever seen. I think the scene when she, the way that she's able to convey these emotions, like through this like digitized kind of shitty computer screen, like every message that she sends back to Coop, like those really hit you fucking hard, and she's really good at doing that. So yes, I think obviously it's Matthew McConaughey's movie, but I think this is just as much a Jessica Chastain movie, just because she's only in it. The screen time is probably
it's low.
It's a 3-hour movie, but she's in it for maybe 30 minutes. You really feel the presence.
You feel the impact of the performance.
The only part I don't like with Jessica Chastain is when she throws the papers. It goes Eureka! It's like
Yeah,
but then she kisses Topher Grace after. I don't know. She's fun. She's a glimmer of hope in this movie because it's a very dull and a very dreary. There's a lot of dread in this movie, and Jessica Chastain's like the one character I think that you got a lot of redeeming scenes with her. But yeah, I mean McConaughey's unbelievable. He's really good. He's not.
I think that's really all you can say about performance. Like it's.
No. But you know what? He's not the meme McConaughey that we all love. He's not the Salesforce commercial McConaughey.
No, absolutely not. He's not all right McConaughey.
Right. He's not, he's not the guy from Wolf of Wall Street. Like, he's really good in this movie. He's a phenomenal actor. We all know he's one of the best actors ever. Did he win? Did he not win anything
more
for
this
this?
McConaughey.
I agree.
No, he didn't. I think
he didn't win anything.
I think it was Eddie Redmayne Theory of Everything.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, he did incredible. I love the usual suspects of Nolan movies. I love his cast. this is an awesome cast from top to bottom.
So
There's so many good actors and
yeah,
actresses in this.
to wrap up the movie, I think excellent first watch. I think this is a good kickoff for the Nolan kind of, I guess,
It's got to
journey
be.
we're gonna start on.
Would you watch this movie again?
Yeah, I think I have to watch it again at some point to really like get a lot of the stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is not like a one-time watch movie and you got every detail. I think it
It's such a
definitely
it's
takes
such a
more.
it's such a it's such a like pivotal movie, I think, in Nolan's like filmography too. Like I really feel like this movie kind of showed you what he could do. And showed you like, obviously like Inception kind of like shot him out. I mean, I guess that's not true. I think he's been good since Memento. But I feel like every movie he makes just keeps getting better. Granted,
Mhm.
I still wasn't a fan of Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
I haven't
So
seen Tenet, and nor do I
let's
really have a desire to.
let's decide. Let's decide on our next Nolan movie. Real quick though, any final thoughts on the movie on our first
Um,
sidebar return podcast?
I mean, I missed you, man. I'm happy to be back.
I missed you too, buddy.
We
Me too.
we pick this up. It's just like riding
Like
a
nothing.
bike. But you know
Like
what,
nothing.
dude? The reason I like doing this,
Realize.
exactly. Yeah, live, laugh, love. The reason I love doing this is because you and me can just yuck it up about movies that we like. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the whole point of this thing that we're doing. Is
Mhm.
not,
Yeah, we're not gonna
we
have any
just
listeners. This episode probably won't get released.
no. It's going to. I'll clean it up in post. But it's
Yeah.
just this is just fun to do. I just love talking
Right.
about movies, and I love talking about movies with you, buddy. But
Sure.
I got no other
So we
thoughts
got
about this
something
movie.
exciting. Good.
It's really good.
All right. So before we end it,
You big
let's
sap.
decide
You got nothing
what's
nice
the
to
next.
say to me.
Well, I like you too, buddy. I don't know. We don't need to go
There
this
you
whole
go.
thing. I miss you. Do I need to tell the listeners that we've been trying for 5 years, aka I've been trying for 5 years,
You know,
and
we've not been
oh,
trying
of
for
course,
five
when
years.
when Dan wants to restart the podcast, we restart it. But when Cam wants to do it, we don't do it. I
No,
mean,
when was the last time that we tried to make
you're
this
right,
happen?
Dan. I gave up trying because you're like, nah, we're done with the sidebar. I'm not doing it. I'm like, oh, don't worry, dude.
Listen, you're being Murph. I'm Cooper. All right, this has always been here. I've always been there, man. I was always going to come back. All right, don't
You,
Murphy Cooper me.
you're listening to the old episodes and you're like, don't leave, Dan. Don't let me leave, Cam. Don't
Don't
let me
let me
leave.
leave. Listen, it's sad. We're on our own. Maybe someday we'll do this again in person.
Yeah,
What's the next
definitely.
Christopher
All right.
Nolan movie? I love The Prestige.
Prestige is great. So there's a
It's
couple I haven't
really.
seen that you're gonna like yell at me for. That like I
Uh,
haven't seen Inception. You're gonna yell at me for that. I already know
you haven't
that.
seen Inception?
Yeah, I've seen The Prestige, obviously.
You
I
haven't
haven't
seen
seen Tenet.
Inception?
No, I haven't. Yeah, so you're gonna yell at me for this. I already told you. So we could do that one.
Unbelievable.
Saved it for the pod. First watch.
What do you watch?
I've seen other good movies. I don't know. I think I just. It's one. There's a
Marvel
lot of
movies
movies
don't
on a
count,
list.
Cam.
They're not. That's not on a list. There's a lot of movies on a list that I just like need to watch that we just like haven't gotten around to. But what the sidebar is perfect for?
It's
That.
yeah. I mean, the sidebar is. I think the sidebar is at its peak when I'm mansplaining basically a new movie to you. That's kind of like the way. I
Yeah,
think that's like the
basically.
way it works.
Yeah. Yeah.
Obviously, the next movie that we have to do is Inception. It's okay that you haven't seen Tenet because
Uh,
I haven't seen Tenet either,
I
and
think
I
Tenet
don't
would
really
be
have
good. Like
any.
we try to. I think it'd be a good. We try to decipher it. I don't know.
Maybe that's a live.
Pattinson.
Maybe that's a live
People forget.
episode.
People forget we called Batman the Pattinson Batman like
We
before he was
did,
cast. People
dude.
forget that,
We
and people
did.
like
And did you
yeah,
see it? Did you ever see that movie?
yeah. I fell asleep in
It's
the theater. It was so boring,
oh,
dude. In the middle,
really?
it
I
was
really liked
fine.
it.
I liked it, but in the middle, it was just so long and boring, dude. It's like that
I
movie could
really
have been
liked
two
it.
hours.
I just finished The Penguin like a month ago,
Yeah.
and I think I just it was fresh in my mind. But yeah, no, we called. I wouldn't say we. You called Robert Pattinson Batman. I said it was gonna
Mhm.
be Mahershala Ali, which I couldn't have been more wrong about. But
Yeah.
yeah, you nailed that one. I think Inception's got to be next, dude. Shutter Island. Have you seen Shutter Island?
Now we can do that one too. That's Scorsese though, right?
Oh, it is. Is that Scorsese?
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
Leo.
Oh, I got the Leo thing
Yeah.
mixed up.
Yeah.
It's got to
I'm
be
down, man.
Inception then, man. Inception's
When
incredible, but I think it
when
would be fun.
when do we want to do the next episode next week? You want to try to
Yeah,
keep
I
weekly?
mean,
That's a big commitment, I know, for you and I, but
we can figure it out. We'll figure it out.
yeah,
Don't give anything away to the listeners, man. Don't let
yeah.
them know. All right. Well, hey, this has been another episode of the Sidebar. Do you remember
Yeah.
our play out
Absolutely, dude,
quote?
not at all.
The podcast,
Podcast,
the
movie,
movie, the
the
experience,
experience, the
the
ride.
ride.